everyone, Kyle once again. Welcome back to the next movie review. And we are wondering, yes, I'm wearing a robe because without no shirt on though, but because I am cold, that's why. Because can't tell though, but outside though it's a gloomy, rainy night and it's freaking cold,. Always trying to keep warm. So if anyone wonders, so. But beside that, so the movie review I'll be talking about today is, well, wanted to do it for a while because, well, since the sequel came out, which I'll get to in the next review though, so because I'm sure a lot of people will want me to hear my thoughts on the sequel especially, so, but what we talk about is of the 2019 DC comic movie Joker from 2019, and you know what? It was during the time, because DC I've been liking, It was really because it was like from 2019, because earlier in 2019 there was the first one of Shazam, which I liked. Sequel, not so much, sad to say. But then later, in 2019 came the film Joker, which I was skeptic on because a solo Joker movie with basically no Batman in it. I'm thinking to myself, how can they make a solo movie about the Joker without no Batman in it? And one thing I was also skeptic on because of the director. Because this film is directed by Todd Phillips, who directed the Hangover movies, So I'm like, really, Todd Phillips, who directed the Hangover movies, directing a DC Joker movie? I was kind of first skeptic on, And when the first trailer or teaser, whatever, came out, I just needed to see more of the movie myself within the trailer, though. I did see this in the theater, and at the end of the day, when I first saw it, guess what? I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a pretty damn good movie. Yeah, so I liked the first Joker movie, and then later on when and then in 2022, which continued my life. Well, 2020, I wasn't a fan of the solo Harley Quinn movie Birds of Prey though. I actually did not like that movie though, but one of the best parts though actually was the villain played by Ewan McGregor, because I thought Ewan McGregor, he was having fun in that role though. He was the best part of that movie though. But overall I just didn't like Birds of Prey though. And then 2021, I liked the sequel, The Suicide Squad from James Gunn. I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed that DC film, the sequel, more in the first one, obviously. And then 2022, The Batman with Robert Pattinson, and I enjoyed that movie. So besides Birds of Prey, there was a steady stream of DC films that I've been liking. Of course, people will say, "Whoa, you don't like DC." Well, I just named you some newer DC movies for the past 5 years I liked. So don't give me like, oh, you're a DC hater. I just named you 5 DC films from almost from 2022 to 2019 within a 3-year period I enjoyed, So, and I even and I do like a lot of the DC animated movies. Or back when I was growing up, I enjoyed the Batman anime series from the voice of the late Kevin Conroy. Rest in peace, So, yeah, and the Batman anime series is easily one of the best DC shows I watched growing up, So, and I liked a lot of the animated movies as well. One of them, couple of favorites I like was Batman Under the Red Hood, and then the Flashpoint Paradox. The Flashpoint Paradox movie. So I'm not a DC hater. If you want to go back, I liked the 70s, the 78 the Superman movie with Christopher Reeve, the number 2, even number 3 with Richard Pryor, not the fourth one, which everyone agrees on. And of course, I love Tim Burton's Batman movie, which I would say is my favorite DC movie. I love Tim Burton's Batman. I enjoy Batman Returns. I like Batman Forever. Of course, Batman and Robin, of course, everybody hates, of course. But so I'm not a full DC hater, okay? But getting with this movie, Joker, starring Joaquin Phoenix as the titular character, Arthur Fleck, aka the Joker. I thought he did a pretty damn good job in this role. I think he deserved his Oscar for what he portrayed, which makes it the second time. It's the second time where a DC villain like the Joker has been basically won an Oscar twice. The villain previously played by Heath Ledger. Now, people are going to ask which one who you think is better, Joaquin Phoenix or Heath Ledger. If I still pick Heath Ledger over. Well, though it is Joaquin Phoenix did a very damn good job of portraying his own version of the Joker. With Heath Ledger, I know they put their all into the best acting portrayal as the Joker, but I just think that Heath Ledger still have the edge over Joaquin Phoenix still. Of course, Jack Nicholson, of course, he also was great as the Joker as well. Of course, I'm sure a lot of people agree with, or disagree, but Jared Leto is the worst. He's easily the worst Joker. So, but other than that though, Joaquin Phoenix, he did a damn good job as the Joker. And Todd Phillips, was okay. From the Hangover movies, although I like the first one. Sequels not so much though, but the first Hangover I liked. But he also did a pretty damn good job at directing this movie, And so, okay. And of course, with the script and with the music and the score, I thought overall was solid. A couple, of course, there are nitpicks. Though, of course, one nitpick, of course, I think it started a little bit slow. I know it's a slow burn movie for an origin story, because there are some films I like that are slow burn, right? Blair Witch Project is one of them. That's a slow burn movie, though. So, but I get it. There are slow burn films I like, but I thought in the beginning of this film, like from up to 30, 45 minutes, I thought it was a bit too slow in the beginning, though, until it decided to pick up the pace. So I thought in the beginning, it was a bit too slow for my liking, though, but towards the second half of the movie, then it started picking up the pace, though. And I thought the rest of the cast was good, too. I mean, besides Joaquin Phoenix, you got Robert De Niro as Franklin Murray. Okay, I think it was the character's name, right? Yeah, Murray Franklin. I got the names reversed. Murray Franklin. Of course, it was paying his homage to his role from the '80s called the King of Comedy. He's this character. He's a talk show host. He's a talk show host. That's what he is. And also, speaking of this film takes place in the early '80s as well. So I thought Todd Phillips did a good job, like displaying how Gotham City looked in the '80s, just grimy and just like on the downfall of the city, like the society of Gotham is like collapsing. Just how it is. If I can't put it into words, it's like the society has gone downhill in Gotham City, right? Just from the look of the streets of Gotham, I thought Todd Phillips did a good job on that. So that's another positive point on that. Especially another point is given the production sets, But I was saying, go back with the cast. Robert De Niro, of course. If anyone knows about Robert De Niro, especially in recent years, he's a good actor. I like him in a lot of films. I enjoyed him in, okay. But the thing is, as outside his acting, as a human being, he's a zero. He's an asshole, okay. Especially, I know, I know I was saying this, but of course the lot of the hateful things he says about Trump, I know. If people can point out, yes, okay, how he says he wants to beat the shit out of him, just spills them. But I don't get into the whole thing though. But Robert De Niro in real life, he's a piece of shit. Okay, he's a piece of shit in my opinion. And as a person, he's a zero as a human being, a piece of shit. In my view, okay? People may say otherwise, but that's why I feel about him. There's a lot of things I say about a lot of the actors in Hollywood today, But as an actor, I mean, I enjoy him in The Deer Hunter, Raging Bull, Cape Fear, and then Taxi Driver from back in his early stuff, I mean, even stuff like in Goodfellas, Casino. Even if he was fun in the role of the fearless leader in the Rocky and Bullwinkle movie, which I know a lot of people don't like though, but Robert De Niro, yeah, as an actor, he's a good actor though, yes. I just don't like him in real life. I think he's a piece of shit. So, but regardless though, him in this movie though, he was good in this as well. I thought it'd be a nice choice, as his talk shows, as his nod to his film in The King of Comedy, So, as Murray Franklin, you have the girl Zazie Beetz as this character Sophie, who's kind of the love interest of Arthur. And then you have Frances Conroy, who plays Penny Fleck, the Arthur's mother. And then you got Brett Cullen, who plays Thomas Wayne. Thomas Wayne, father of Bruce Wayne. Now, originally Alec Baldwin was gonna play Thomas Wayne. Which I thought that would have been a pretty interesting choice, is to see him playing as Thomas Wayne. Probably I would like to see see him in the movie as Thomas Wayne. I really would like to see him in that. But I guess he couldn't. They initially cast him, but due to scheduling conflicts, he couldn't do it though. But I mean, he even said though. I mean, it's like anybody can play Thomas Wayne, which is true. I mean, anybody can play the role though. But I would like to see Alec Baldwin's version of Thomas Wayne in this movie though. And which, by the way, the character in this movie of Thomas Wayne kind of best suits, I guess, Alec Baldwin's personality in real life. Because like in the society of today, it's gone downhill. I mean, even like the portrayal of Thomas Wayne, he's just basically it's like how they put on a face or a mask on when it's like when you're on camera, right? They put on this face, right, or a facade, but like behind the scenes, like when the camera is off, behind the scenes, or how the true colors as a real person comes out. Because like, they say that, Thomas Wayne's this great guy, he's this billionaire who cares, right? But like, actually, in actuality, he's just a rich, snobby asshole, basically. So, yeah, that's which I like, kind of like that portrayal of this version of Thomas Wayne. He's just a stuck-up rich asshole. And the guy who plays Brett Cullen, he's the guy who played Johnny Blaze's father in the first Ghost Rider movie. Yeah, so he played Johnny Blaze's father in that movie in the beginning of the first Ghost Rider film. So I thought that Brett Cullen was good in that, Although I would have been curious about Alec Baldwin's portrayal though. I mean, you have some other supporting characters. You have other ones people I recognize. You have Shia Wingham. He plays a Gotham detective, which I've seen him in films too. I mean, he was in Kong Skull Island. He's been appearing in the past two Mission Impossible movies. Well, Part 1, Day of Reckoning, Part 1, and the upcoming he's in the upcoming Final Reckoning, Part 2. And I know I saw he was also in the Agent Carter Marvel series, and also the Death Note live action movie. So yeah, he played Shia Wingham. He plays a detective in this. And actually, you have another recognizable actor, Brian Tyree Henry, Brian Tyree Henry from playing, he was in the detective in the Child's Play 2019 remake. He was in the Eternals as Phaetos, or his fun portrayal in Bullet Train, and of course he appeared in the newer Godzilla King Kong movies as well. So yeah, Brian Tyree Henry, he plays as a Clark who works at the Arkham Asylum. So some recognizable actors, supporting actors as well. So overall, the cast I thought was pretty solid, you know. And it's like how the portrayal of how the Gotham looked in the early '80s is how just basically run down of how the city looks, and like I said, how basically how society was back then. And really that portrayal, you know, especially with Arthur, his you know, him rising, becoming as a Joker. Well, first of all, it's kind of like his fall as Arthur Fleck, and then his rise up as the Joker, basically. And all the portrayal of how like the mentally ill is like treated in this time, you know, especially with Arthur Fleck, because you know how he was born with his condition, he just laughs uncontrollably, you know. And yes, how his upbringing does feel cliche, you know. Okay, he gets beaten up, you know. He gets mocked for his disability. So there are cliches that leads up into that certain point, though. Yes, but I thought the build up of how his portrayal ends up in the end pays off though well. So, and you know, like he has like he goes to this therapist that goes nowhere, which one of the dialogue I really like. You know, when he talks like, you really don't listen. You really don't listen at all, do you? All I have are negative thoughts. I that's what we heard in the trailer though, but I actually like that line of dialogue, you know. Yeah, so yeah, and it's like he says, yeah, all he does have are just negative thoughts, yeah. And also though, Joaquin Phoenix, his physique, you know, how he lost a lot of weight in this movie, how he's just so skinny in this, which reminds me how Matthew McConaughey, when he lost so much weight, he was skinny thin as cardboard in the film Dallas Buyers Club, you know. They just both got so extremely thin, which they both, turns out they got extremely thin. They both won Oscars, you know. I mean, Dallas Buyers Club, you know, Matthew McConaughey won the Oscar, which he deserves because I liked him in that movie as well. And the same thing with Joaquin Phoenix, you know. And so, just like how this downward fall of Arthur Fleck, who in his world, you know, he makes up because it turns out a lot of he came up in figments of his imagination, like how he envisions how he's on the Murray Franklin show, how Robert De Niro praises him, you know, looks him at it as a son, you know, and it's like then hits him with this girl who is a neighbor who lives with him, a neighbor named Sophie, you know. I thought it was kind of, it gave Arthur Fleck a little bit more being of human, you know. The closest thing the Joker was particularly being human, having a girl in his life. That's pretty much the one who was kind of like, without her, then he's no longer like the humanized human Arthur Fleck. It's now his alter ego Joker comes out now. So it was kind of like having a girl in his life like Sophie was kind of like, you know, humanizing him, you know. And so, excuse me. And just because like, yeah, he loses his job, he gets beat, he gets the shit kicked out of him. And the soundtrack, you know, I thought was pretty overall solid as well. So if I wanted to say what the soundtrack is, the music. Yeah, like especially we hear like send in the clowns. We hear, I think that was from like the guys who are being the people who were singing on the subway, you know. And or later when he does don his Joker makeup and suit, you know. And of course, the famous scene where he's walking up and down those stairs, you know. I forget the name of the song though, but it was the song that was like da 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 I haven't heard that song since Happy Gilmore. Yeah, if you recall, towards the third act when Happy Gilmore was getting in the lead of head of Shooter McGavin, yeah, that song playing. Da, 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 da. Yeah, that song that was played more in the third act in Happy Gilmore. I'm like, I haven't heard that song in forever. The last time I heard it was in Happy Gilmore. So overall, the soundtrack was overall pretty solid. In the score by Hildur Gudru. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce that. It's a long name. Gunorio Titir. Sorry if I butcher the name up though, but I thought overall the score was pretty solid as well. Like how first just showing how the depressing, how the way Gotham looks, and until the build up of Arthur's character of the Joker's character, And then when he finally, times when he starts to snap, when he starts to killing when there's some of the people that he kills, I mean the whole thing when his mom indicated he may have been the son of Thomas Wayne, but it turns out it was something that the mom made up, because I guess she worked as a housekeeper for Thomas Wayne, and then it was like like he went there was a scene where he goes to his house to the gate, and not admitting that who he is, And so then to the point where the mom was just making this bull crap up, and then ultimately he just suffocates her. Just suffocates her. Or the two of his workers that were come to his apartment to give him shit. He kills one of them, but leaves the other guy alone because he's the one who kind of basically he was more nicer to him. So that's why he left him alone. Of course, in the scene where he's putting on the makeup and he does the big smiley face, So, and then when he gets the attention of the Murray Franklin show, when he finally goes on and talking with Robert De Niro, I was like, hey, before I go on, will you address me as Joker? And it's kind of taken on the sense if society weren't if he got the help, it's like if Arthur got the help he needed though, maybe things would have been different for him though. But just like how people like him who were being treated poorly and just ultimately just in your mind you just snap, you just rise up and then you just have to do something about it, right? In the case where he's on the show live on TV, and to the point where he shoots Robert De Niro on TV, and it causes this big uproar, this riot starts, right? And ultimately, when one thing leads to another, it ultimately causes the death of Bruce Wayne's parents. So it's like in this case, Joker, though he didn't do it himself, he unintentionally created this. He unintentionally started the death of Bruce Wayne's parents. So he did kind of cause that unintentionally. And the people were now they start wearing the clown masks, and they're all praising him as this hero, who's rising up against the society, praising him. And all this stuff that happened, which I really liked though. Granted, yes, yeah, it was slow in the beginning to start with. That's one of the issues I have with it. It was pretty slow to start with. But towards the second half, that's when it started picking up and it started getting more of the intensity getting started. So, and also technically, because back then this is when Bruce Wayne was a little kid when his parents died. So basically, by the time in this time frame when he does become Batman, Joker would be a much more older, So it probably wouldn't be much useful to the Joker if he's much more older by the time Bruce becomes Batman, So he's put at the Arkham Asylum and talking with the therapist again. Then when it ends, like, him walking with the bloody footprints, indicating maybe he killed her, and just, people were seeing him as this hero, causing this big riot, and just standing up, to how wrong this what's wrong in this society, And Joaquin Phoenix did a damn good job portraying this Joker. Right? He did a really good job. I think I said, once again, Todd Phillips, I think he did a good job with directing this movie. Which at first, he directed the Hangover movies, which I was skeptic on. But he did a fine job in this film. As does for the cinematography, the score, him. He also, I think he helped write this. He helped write the movie, along with Scott Silver, and he also produced as well. And Bradley Cooper. Bradley Cooper was one of the producers of this film as well. Bradley Cooper, which kind of makes sense because he worked with Todd Phillips from the Hangover movies. So it does kind of make sense. So yeah, Bradley Cooper, who helped produce with Todd Phillips. And so yeah, overall, yeah. Sorry, I had something in my teeth. I really enjoyed this film. I liked the first Joker. And the film became an unexpected massive hit, This film made over $1 billion worldwide. Over 330 million domestically in the U.S. And at the time, it was the highest grossing R-rated movie until Deadpool and Wolverine came along. But it still has the biggest opening weekend in October, though. It still holds the record for the biggest opening weekend in October. It still got that. It was about 91. But the first film was great, but then ultimately it just went downhill when the sequel came along. They opened back of this year in October. I don't know what happened, because it just became one of the most pointless sequels I've seen. And part of me did think, maybe the first Joker did not need a sequel. But of course, the film was a massive success. Of course, people would want to have a sequel, right? This one was a boring, pointless sequel. It was. But I'll get into that though. That film sucked, Yeah, and some people point out maybe because why the film flopped, because people did not want to see it as a musical. I think that's one of the reasons why the film flopped, because it was made into a musical. Which, really? But I'll get into that though when I review that though. But Joker 2, fully whatever it was called, sucked. Which is sad, because I liked this movie, I liked the first Joker. So, because it was disappointing, because the sequel, people had high expectations of the sequel since the first one was a massive hit, But nope, it was a huge box office flop. Another huge flop for Warner Brothers, and another DC movie box office flop as well. Yeah. So yeah, the most superhero flops from DC and from Warner Brothers once again. So, but overall, I enjoyed the first Joker. Like I said, Joaquin Phoenix did a great job. The director Todd Phillips, the supporting cast, like Robert De Niro, like Zazie Beetz, including the other supporting members. Oh, and although she did come back until, I forgot to mention it, because there was a point where Arthur, because this, like, he made this up in his head that she liked him, right? But when he confronted her, like, in the actuality, she's like, "Who are you? Like, I don't, stay away." So yeah, so it was like his whole entire world was collapsing from him, because she was kind of like, basically, like I said, the one that was basically making more human. But when that reality came to, it was a lost cause for him. So, but overall, I thought the girl who plays Zazie Beetz, I thought she did fine too. But overall, yeah, I enjoyed the first Joker. Sadly, the sequel, not so much. To me, it was boring and one of the most pointless sequels. I just don't know what happened. So, but I'll get to that in the next review. But overall, the first Joker movie, it was a thumbs up though. Sadly, a complete 180 from when the sequel came out. So, but thanks for watching. Stay tuned for that, and we'll see you on the next video. Later.